Check. What's up, my people? Thank you for coming back to see me. This is Politics as Usual. I am your host, Eric Wright, and we're on True Executive Radio. You know, the place where we bring the hottest topics, the things that's going on in our community, give it the black perspective or the overall perspective, things that we need to talk about and discuss. So if I see it, I bring it to you, and we kind of have that conversation within our community. Uh, Now that the holiday season is over, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. I hope you got to see your family and everybody stayed safe and breathing. And now that Christmas is over, it's time for Kwanzaa. You know, Kwanzaa has the seven principles. Each principle is assigned a day, and it's about uplifting the black community. And we start out by saying Habari Gani. That's what's the word? What is the word? Today's principle is Koji Chagulia. Koji Chagulia. That is self determination to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. It's perfect on this day that we got politics as usual going on because we are defining what we think about these political things that's going on in our community. So we want to make sure we have that conversation to see where we stand on things. So, Habari Gani, Kochi Chagulia, self determination. We coming up with our own stuff in 2024. So shout out to everybody out there that's participating in Kwanzaa. So let's go ahead and get into the topics for today. We're gonna start out with a national topic that's going on. And from what I've seen, the headline reads 22 states have planned to raise the minimum wage to at least 11 or $12. 22 states. This also includes 38 cities and about 11 counties. Now, these states include everywhere from Alaska, Connecticut, Colorado, even South Dakota. Florida has just announced it on the 26th of December that January 1st, they are also raising the minimum wage. We all know the federal minimum wage is 7.25, and that will not change. That's the rub. That's what we need to talk about. Um, each state is given the ability to say what their minimum wage could be, and some states are stepping up to say their people, their workers, and everything need more. The cost of living is going up, the cost of gas, the cost of milk is going up. So we want to make sure we give people the fair and correct wages. Now, for us in the South, unfortunately, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, um, absolutely are not raising the minimum wage, and you probably won't see that happen because, as you know, Alabama does not have a minimum wage. We go by the federal minimum wage, which is not changing. So, shout out to the 22 states that decide to pay their people a living wage so they can survive out here. And those of you that still lagging behind, follow suit with the rest of the people because everybody knows you can't buy shit for $7.25. And if you have to spend an entire hour and you only make $7.25, you probably should slap your boss because they stealing from you. You heard? Next topic. And we're going to go ahead and roll with it because that was something that came up that Sleepy Joe finally got right. Now, the headline reads Biden pardons thousands of people with marijuana arrests. This is a damn great thing. Now, why would the president of the United States pardon thousands of people that's been arrested for marijuana? It may have something to do with the disparity in how black people have had more marijuana arrests than any other race of people. It might have something to do with the unfair nature of our court system and our police departments. It may have something to do with marijuana still being scheduled as a Schedule 1 drug instead of being dropped down to Schedule 2 or 3 or not even listed at all. These are the things. And in the black community, we've spent uh, decades demonizing people that smoke weed. We demonize people that had anything to do with marijuana. But now that we see corporations and people starting businesses, making millions of dollars, we see states making marijuana legal. Even in our southern states, they're making portions of marijuana. They're making it legal because they know for a fact that everything that we've been told about marijuana was a damn lie. Started from Harry Anslinger with his with this fake news press release saying that marijuana makes black people think they're just as good as white people, or marijuana makes black men rape white women, and started this public outcry about cannabis, marijuana, which they made it all up. Frankly, they made it all up, and we in the black community took it hook, line, and sinker. We demonized everyone that smoked weed like they were the devil, and now we're seeing that these people are profiting from it. So you should feel a way about that. If you don't feel a way about that, it's because you're not doing any soul searching. We're quick to damn people to hell, but we're not quick to say that we were absolutely wrong. But Joe Biden did get this right. He pardoned thousands of people, so they would no longer have those arrests on their record. A lot of those people, there was actually 11 people that was in DC that was pardoned as well for having extremely long um, prison term just based on marijuana offenses and nothing violent. So he did get that right. We want to give a shout out to the White House for taking the steps. We do understand that descheduling marijuana would take the support of the Congress. We understand it would take the support of the Senate. So without the Senate or Congress making a move or making a step towards it, technically we can't blame Joe for this because he's doing all within his power with those pardons. And he actually had a statement saying that criminal records of marijuana use and possession have imposed needless barriers to employment, housing, education opportunities, Biden said. Too many of our lives have been upended because our failed approach to marijuana. It is time we right those wrongs. So let's give Joe a shout out for actually getting it right this time, and hope that the people in Congress and the Senate will take it a step further and deschedule marijuana, and we release any and all prisoners that's been arrested for marijuana and remove that from their records so they can be productive citizens out here. So, shout out to that. All right. In many shows, I've always bring up things that happen to us black people with dealing with police officers or dealing with the law, period. It doesn't have to be a police officer. But there was one headline that struck a chord with me. It was actually a woman. She's about 22 years old. No, 27. Excuse that. She's 27 years old. She was in a domestic violence dispute. She was arguing back and forth with a boyfriend. It it got physical. The lady has a 9-year old daughter and a 2-year old daughter. She was scared for their life. She calls the police department. This happened in California. She calls the police department, and do you know the police showed up and shot her? Yes, the person that called the police because something was happening and she was afraid for her life and her two young children's lives, that was the person that life was ended by the police officers when they showed up. So you have someone who is calling the police for help, and she gets killed by the police who she's asking for assistance. If you can call the police for help and the officers show up, you would think they're coming to protect and serve and not to be an executionist. Again, these are things that go on in our community, in our neighborhood, where the police shows up and escalates a bad situation and makes it worse. And this is a instance that this happened to a black woman, 27 years old, with two children, and the 9-year-old daughter explained to the authorities that their mom was no threat to the police officers. She didn't make any threatening moves to them. She didn't fuss with them, fight with them, didn't attack them, didn't charge them, but she was murdered. And now that is another case that will probably go viral over the next few months, and you may hear a lot about it. Again, we have to, number one, understand if we call police officers to our home, no matter what the reason is, if we get stopped by the police officers, and we want to make sure we're safe. Again, we don't know the mental stability of the people wearing the badge. So it's no reason to guess and assume that everyone is going to be there to help you. You have to take extra precaution, keep your kids in mind, your family in mind, and if there is a altercation that's going on and you call police officers, please, at all costs, when they get there, try to be as calm as possible. Try not to make any sudden moves. We don't want to give them any excuse. And it's unfortunate that we even got to think about these things when we're going through troubles or hard times. But this is the world that we live in, and we want to be prepared for it. Remember, this is politics as usual. And if you can't see through the bullshit, you always get fooled by it. Keep your head on the swivel.